Hey Lunarticks! These readings are for anyone who identifies as a Cancer during November 2018 or is drawn to Cancerian energy for whatever reason during November 2018. Excuse me while I try to adjust the camera a bit. And we are going to do 2 readings, Cancers. Since it's so late in the month before I am getting a reading out for you this month, we're looking at specifically the last week of November 2018, from the 24th through December 1st. Let's hope that stays for us. And then that reading will tell us how the first half of the month, the first part of the month looked, what the full moon in Gemini has offered Cancers so far, and let through whatever messages need to come through. The second reading then will narrow the focus down to our love lives, Cancers. So first of all, we're looking at the King of Swords reversed is representing you, and the Knight of Swords is in your subconscious. It's like there's something that Cancers aren't wanting to be honest about, aren't wanting to open up about, that we aren't wanting to be completely forthcoming about at this time, Cancers, because we're afraid it may be reckless of us in some way to reveal our whole truth at this time about something to someone. Progress has been expedited in some way, in some area recently for us, and that may be contributing to this feeling that it would be reckless to share too much right now. Also the fact that throughout the first half of November, the first part of the month, we're represented by the 4 of Pentacles. So we have been in a state of trying to hold on very tightly to something tangible, our resources, likely money for many. But it also could be holding on to someone or certain behavior patterns. We have a couple of 5s showing up for us, some struggle in terms of, what our obstacle is and what we're fearing. So yeah, I think we're afraid that if we're completely forthcoming, completely honest with someone here, or reveal too much of ourselves in general, perhaps, that we're afraid that it's going to cause some strife, some fights with someone. Maybe, for example, this week in particular, people could be getting together with friends and or family for the holiday season. Maybe a post-Thanksgiving celebration for some, or pre-Christmas, something. I'm not sure exactly what when all of these holiday season holidays fall, but you could just be gathering with people who make you feel like you can't reveal all of yourself at this time. That's a great example of what I'm seeing here. Yeah, you're afraid of that it's going to cause a fight. You're afraid that it's going to, there's going to be arguments, maybe hurt feelings as a result, You may not want to give someone the satisfaction that we see here, or not want to exhibit this type of attitude yourself. And this is, this is the type of fight that no one wins. So there's that. You just feel like it's not worth it. So you're sort of holding some of yourself back. It's actually, and you may be right, this week, you may be right, because this is showing up as your strength. The strength card is your strength. You are, this being able to tame some part of yourself. Being able to, restrain the desire to let out your whole truth in front of someone in order to avoid those pointless fights that no one wins. At the same time, for some, it's a matter of just not wanting to cause an unnecessary fight, like among family members or friends, and you may be, this message is just for a week, so you may very well be doing arguably the right thing, which is, not for me to tell you what that is, but for others, there is a message here that the only thing worth fighting like this over is the truth, is being a warrior for and or in search of truth. So you may be in a position where, you're afraid to reveal your whole self or tell your whole truth, but the fight will be worth it. I'm sorry, I'm just like playing with these as I'm trying to read them and not making sure you can see them. And by the end of the week anyway, moving into December, you are focused on work that you love to do, work that you love doing so much you don't notice the time passing as you're doing it, work that is influential, work that is possibly that includes a playful collaboration of minds, or if not, that you love sharing with people when you do create. Makes you feel purposeful. And see, these fights may have something to do with that. You may really want to share what it is you're working on, what it is you're creating with whoever you're around. You maybe want to be able to share it no matter whom you're around, because you love to do it so well. And I see 2 3s here. 33 may be particularly significant to you. And whatever you're working on, at the beginning of December or the end of the week and the beginning of December, throughout the month of December, and as you move into next year, you have this second 3. They fell right in a row in the reading too. So 33 is probably significant to that work, that project that means a lot to you. And it may be, for a lot of us, it may be worth any strife or disagreement that it causes to own this work out loud to other people, because we're clearly very invested in it. Especially moving throughout December, it looks like you are feeling confident and waiting to see how it grows, how it turns out, as invested as an expected mother might be. Maybe that's what the truth is for some of you, that does or does not need shared this week with whomever you're around. And actually, we have 3 threes. The 3 of Swords reversed was then below the 3 of Wands too. So it may be that this, very well may be that this is something that needs healing, whether that's just within the family dynamic or this particular friend group, this issue, whether it's sharing that you're creating something physical like birthing a baby, or creating something, creating a work of art, whatever it is that you'll need to be, or that you might be honest about this week, it may be healing things for you as an individual and for that group. And it does look like the strife is rooted in childhood beliefs. So that's why there's both messages here, right? These are things that people may not be ready to let go of this holiday season, just because you have a truth to share with them, just because you can see why there is this disagreement between you and where it is rooted. It doesn't mean that the other person or people will be ready to let go of these beliefs that they've held on to for so long, or even to consider that it's all right that yours are different in whatever area this truth that you may reveal is related to. So for some, like I said, this week, biting your tongue, it's just a week, may be the right thing to restrain that part of yourself and not cause unnecessary strife. For others, this is a deep issue in your family or friend group that needs to be healed, and it's up to you to speak up. The King of Swords in reverse, we'll say this is what's representing you. This is why I think that we're keeping something close to the chest. We're not letting out. But the King of Swords is in the reverse. He's suspicious. So sometimes that can mean that he ends up plotting. It can make him harsh and rigid and cruel. He can end up being a cruel judge of himself and other people. So consider how holding this thing in relates to those qualities for you. Does it highlight those qualities? Is it just a week and it's not really going to touch you ultimately? Or does it highlight and maintain those negative qualities in your character to keep this thing in? And if so, then I think we're looking at a scenario where it would be very healing for you and the other people to go ahead and face the fight, face the feud, face the strife, and let the truth out. But that is obviously for each and every one of you to decide on your own. And with that, we will move on to your love reading, Cancers. Actually, let's take a second to pull a advice card regarding that first message from the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. The choice card in reverse, which I've read several times upright. I've read this card upright and reverse several times on this channel in the last few months, but I will read some highlights from it for us again. Cancers, you may very well have been one of the signs that have already heard this from me. I love this card. It's the first card in this deck, which is a little different, but the guidebook explains better than I would, and I'll read directly from this description, but everything else in this deck that is its own and unique and a little different stems from this choice card. So it's reminding you, before reading from the book, it's reminding us that we do have a choice where we don't see one often. And I've been led to say many times that I think that's so much about what this channel has been about. I think that's so much of what this is about, at least as I'm getting started here. Illuminating choices, illuminating paths, and reminding us that we do always have a choice, even when we don't see one necessarily, or don't have one that we like, or it's referring, now and usually to the fact that we're blind to the fact that we have a choice. And we were speaking about whether or not Cancers were going to share their truth. So many of you may feel like you have no choice but to stifle this authentic part of you, maybe this work you're doing, or maybe the fact that you're pregnant. Like I said, for some, it's just been a little while since I ended that first part of the reading. I was trying to remember what the possible choices were, but I know we were sharing a truth that it might heal things in our the group that we're sharing it with, or the relationship that we're sharing it within. It might be very healing, and we might not be able to see how healing it could be on the other side of revealing that truth, because a lot of us might feel like a lot of Cancers at this time this week might feel like you have no choice but to hide something. And this is just a reminder that you do have the choice to let this out if it's hurting you, if it's harming you, if it's hurting your relationship or these other people, to keep it in. So in its blocked position, as it is coming up for us here, it says, are you spending all of your time looking for options and opportunities because you do not like the options that have already been presented to you? Sometimes our searching fails to uncover a choice that brings us happiness or an outcome that we desire, so we continue to look, hoping that something better will come along. In this way, we may be only delaying the inevitable. The reversed choice card symbolizes a need to accept that sometimes the only choice available is the one we do not want to make. Sometimes we have to choose the next best option or the path of least reward. Sometimes the path of least reward will lead us to unexpected treasure. Sometimes we are limited to a choice that will bring us happiness, albeit fleeting, and one that will not. A choice between immediate gratification and self-sacrifice. Make your choice with the awareness that instant gratification might not prove to be the most rewarding option. Avoiding that fight immediately might not, in the immediate future, might not ultimately be the best option, is what I'm hearing, how I'm associating it. Do not allow a fear of being unhappy or disliked or having to work hard or go without prevent you from making a choice that will bring greater rewards and benefits in the future. Consider that your procrastination or your inaction may result in someone else making a choice for you and creating a future that is even less to your liking. Is it a secret, or is it not necessarily a secret, but is it a truth that you're holding back that someone else could reveal for you if you don't? Is it a situation like that where it might be worse if it's not you delivering it? Something of that nature. That's definitely worth considering, but we will go ahead and move on to your love reading now. I so hope that helped, offered you something, Cancers, that you didn't have when you came to the reading. And information about all of the decks that we have been and will use in this recording will be in the description of the video. I am going to use the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot deck now for your love life reading for the last week of November. Cancers. Cancer Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, of course, Mars, perhaps, or just anyone who, again, is drawn to the Cancerian energy at the end of November 2018, even throughout November. It does look like there is someone else on your mind as you enter this reading, Cancers, that it's not just you that you come to this space with, at least the message is for Cancers who are thinking about someone else. But I think it's someone who who is in healing at this time, and or you are in healing about them with the Three of Swords in reverse. You, Cancers, are showing up as the Queen of Wands. Now, if it's a fire sign that has recently, maybe sometime in November, then broken your heart, then it could be that you're showing up as that fire sign, that you are in such constant and deep healing regarding the end of that relationship or commitment of whatever type. that they're covering you. You're pretty much at one with their energy, thinking about them all the time. But you're in a space of healing about them. That's possible for some Cancers. For others, it's us. We are showing up as the Queen of Wands here. Feeling very passionate toward an individual who's causing us to be in deep healing at this time, or who we are not with because they're in deep healing, and it may be both. Feeling very intense about what that situation was. I want to say it's past tense. And in the near future, we have the Four of Wands also in reverse. So some instability in the home, as I imagine as this healing continues, some possibly some missed plans, meaning Cancers, you may, as you're in this time of healing, if it is you that's healing, and I think it is, but for most of us, you may miss some events that you had planned with friends or family at this time, which makes sense. You probably have a lot of them. It's holiday season, right? There's a good chance you have many. This is the Hangman in reverse. I may be able to retrieve it. No, it's upright. This is what's in your crowning thoughts. This is what you know when your ego is quiet. So it may be a Pisces that you're healing from, with, or waiting on to heal themselves. Specifically, it could be, a fire sign with a significant Pisces placement. They could be Aries Sun, Pisces Venus, for example, or any other combination. Now, if you don't know their astrology and you don't associate those signs and those elements with them, it would be fire and water here, then I don't think they would show up for you that way. They only would if you... Probably if you associate them with those signs. At the same time, those messages may show up whether you know they're there or not. It's a whole nother talk, though. Otherwise, if it's not a Piscean energy that I see there, then there's also Libra energy showing up in your past. So we've got fire signs, we've got Libra, we've got Pisces. But I want to say, most notably, we are showing up as the Queen of Wands, I think. Feeling passionate, feeling intense, feeling bold, feeling fearless. Feeling powerful. A lot of us, I think, have reached a stage in our healing process, we've been going through that... where we're feeling very powerful, but we are still healing. We still don't have this in the near future, even by the end of the week, moving into December, we still don't feel like we have this happy, comfortable home and family life. We're not feeling totally stable yet. As we continue to move through that healing, this Four of Wands also talks about not losing sight of the big picture for me. It can remind us that in this healing space that we're moving through, we may be losing sight of what's truly important to us, especially if, like I said, you're missing holiday plans, events with family and friends. These may be the people who you need around you as you're healing. These may be the people who could help you heal. Now, that's going to be different for everybody, of course. It's your decision to make. But this could be a reminder that we're losing focus of what's important if we're focused too much on this heartbreak, on this potentially Pisces or Libra, whomever, like I said, that we're still feeling very passionate about and intensely toward, even though they may not be around. there's also Scorpio energy here. So now we just have so many major arcanas coming up for you, and they're all in your crowning thoughts, past, present, and future. Justice, the Hangman, and then the Death card in the near future. So any of this energy, Libra, Pisces, Scorpio, or that fire, could be in your own chart or in this person you're thinking about. And between the two of you, I'm sure it's all there somewhere, right? Well, we're also looking at a progression of someone, probably you, allowing the precise and impartial truth to cut away the untrue. Even if it's this person you still feel passionately about that's causing you this great heartbreak and healing. To a fresh perspective where some of us, yes, are still hanging on in some way, some part of us, to them, to the interaction that we had with them, the relationship, through the sadness, through the healing. That's the last thing that you have to hold on to of them, right? But others are just are past that point, and like I said, feeling very strong and fearless now at this stage, and in their grief, right? And they've reached a strong point, and they're just enjoying this fresh perspective, because upright, the Hangman is serene and at peace. He just appears to be martyred. And then and then progressing from that space then to this complete transformation, to shedding finally at last all parts of this, probably this person that we're talking about, that felt like they were a part of you, might always be a part of you. It looks like it's necessary to completely shed something that meant that much to you, that you probably wanted it to always be a part of you, and you allowed it to feel like it really was. I mean, if it's not that deep of a heartbreak, then, you know, it may be the same type of message and just somewhere else on the spectrum, right? But that's the message really is for Cancers that are dealing with a heartbreak of that caliber, we'll say. Because, you know, the Three of Swords is right in the middle of the reading, and the Queen of Wands representing you is looking right at it. And it's because you don't feel like you have the stability and this happiness and comfort in your home in the near future that causes you to I think, finish shedding this person, which means letting go of that sadness, which is the last part that you have to hang on to, right? And it requires seeing things from a different perspective, which you're doing right now. You're doing that today. You're doing that this week. And we will see what it looks like moving throughout the rest of December as well. We'll get a card for that anyway. It looks like it's all rooted in one or both of you having tried to hang on to the other too tightly, with the Four of Pentacles in the root of the situation. It was something that, again, one or both of you wanted so badly that you may have smothered it, stifled it. I don't mean for that to sound harsh. It's just what's showing up here. And we've got 2 4s. So regarding this situation, 44 may be particularly significant for you this week, Cancers. You have 4 major arcana cards showing up now as well. If you want to take that as 444, since I just happened to have noticed that and said that at the same moment. But the Magician is the first piece of advice that's showing up for us, to take a look at the tools you have at hand. Do you have everything that you need to manifest what it is that you really want? Because I don't think that this person in this relationship was what you really wanted. I do think that the heartbreak is deep and great, and that the transformation in order to let it go is deep and great. That this person was probably meant to be in your life for a time, because it is seems so significant here. But at the same time, that can be true, and simultaneously it can be true that without them, you like I said, are serene and at peace. You realize from this new perspective that this is the space that you really needed. This is what you really wanted, either to be alone or to have the opportunity to invite someone else in who matches you in a preferable way. And I do see that it looks like the message is here that we do have all of the tools that we need to manifest what it is that we really want, which solidifies then that that's not what we had. And maybe you still think it was. And that's okay too. Then you can manifest a relationship that you want just as much as a place you can move forward from then, because it obviously would take both of you agreeing on that for you to stick with the relationship. And then the Seven of Pentacles is the other piece of advice. And we do have the King of Wands showing up on the bottom of the deck. So we do have now the King and the Queen both showing up in the reading, indicating, as I said, that this connection, I'm sure, was meant to be, is probably a divine connection. As I've said in these readings before, if it's divine to you, then it is, right? It needn't matter what exact label you give it, in my opinion. But it looks like it was meant to be in your life for a time. It was very significant. Divine, likely a soulmate-like connection, certainly a soulful connection. And as I'm looking at them here, they're looking toward one another. As I showed them to you, they had their backs to each other, right? It's and the Hanged Man, it does also speak about suspension, right? And that's the space that's the type of space that this healing happens within, and is connected to, is where you're really still suspended between the two ideas of being together or not. For some of you, that's what you're waiting in this week. But if you're hoping if it is a fire sign energy that's outside of yourself, that you are hoping to hear from or have some information about at least, or have some closure regarding, in the month of December, I do see him showing up right in the month of December. Now this could be, again, your own fire sign energy. It could be within your own chart. And like I said, for a lot of us, we're showing up as the Queen. So this could be in December, you having communication with, or again, maybe just closure on this counterpart, or it can represent us progressing to yet another level in our creative and spiritual work that we would have a lot more time to focus on in this healing space. It's also a therapeutic for us in a healing space, right? It's beneficial in every way, and a distraction. So I see that progression, and I see it, for some it's both, obviously. I see that progression, and I see this peace that follows it in December and moving into the new year, into 2019, and this opportunity to rebuild after this loss, after this healing. I'm sorry I didn't have these anywhere where you could see them. Cancers, I guess there is nowhere to put it so you can see it. But we'll also pull an advice for this reading as well, or a Dreams of Gaia tarot card for this reading, which will be sort of a unifying message here, and I'm sure it will offer more advice too. But the Seven of Pentacles is the other piece of advice that shows up within the reading itself, and to some extent, I do feel like it's preparing us for the fact that your success in your creative and spiritual endeavors, and for some of you that means in the way of being an entrepreneur regarding creative and spiritual pursuits. That's what the King of Wands sometimes speaks of for me too. I think to some extent the Seven of Pentacles is preparing us for the fact that our success in those areas isn't going to feel as satisfying as we had hoped or expected. And preparing us so that we don't grow complacent in other areas of our life that we do feel truly just as passionate about. We just may be, you know, distracted while we're healing for a time. It's sometimes things like that sneak up on you, right? Where you just hadn't thought about the fact that when you, when the moment came to celebrate that success, that person, you know, wouldn't be around now. Whereas you had always pictured that moment with them in it, right? And I think to some extent, yeah, the Seven of Pentacles is trying to prepare us for that. They're not going to feel the same way that they would have if that person was there, but that's, but again, a warning is there to make sure that we don't grow complicit. And it's here twice, so 77 may also be particularly significant. We have Union reversed on the bottom of the deck, which, you know, says to me that I don't see this coming back together in the near future, if that's what you're looking for. There may be this opportunity to rebuild next year if that's a path that you want to be on, Cancers. And specifically if it is a fire sign that we're talking about. Especially if you associate more than one of those energies with them. Fire energy, and then, like I said, Libra, Pisces, or Scorpio that I have here. And when I say fire, specifically Aries. But I know that's half of the signs. But we do have, as this last piece of advice and the unifying message, we do have the Seven of Earth showing again as I'm talking about it. That's our Dreams of Gaia card. The Seven of Earth in reverse. And I really get the feeling that this wants to come through in the upright and reversed, both. I just love this art, this picture in particular. So we will read straight from the guidebook again and see what ties all this together for us. We'll start with the potential blockage, how it came out. It's often easy to become focused on one aspect of our lives to the exclusion of all else. This can result in a real disconnect from the world and life that goes on around us. We are all part of the world, and yet most of us spend over 90% of our time indoors, secluded and closed off to both nature and real physical interaction. Are you missing out? Has your world become a very insular place consisting of home and office? Do you now do the majority of your socializing and human interaction via phone or a computer? When was the last time you were out in the world, connecting with others in a tangible manner without looking at your latest piece of tech every 5 minutes? The reverse Seven of Earth signifies a need to step away from technology and reconnect with family and the community at large in a mindful and present manner. Upright, it talks about a lot of the same. Getting into nature, letting Gaia heal you, contribute to that healing that's going on in your heart space. Reminds us to meditate, still our mind. Again, put down the tech toys. Awareness to feel and embrace this connection. Oh, I should start from the beginning. Okay, the Seven of Earth symbolizes a need to both nurture and maintain a connection between spirit, self, and the world around you. Ground, integrate, and connect. To feel and embrace this connection does not require any belief in the divine, but a simple awareness that all is connected on an energetic level. And I like this piece of advice. At this time, look out into the world to see, feel, and understand the cycles of life and nature and how they affect and influence you. What a great distraction to create for yourself. Study how anything else besides that connection that's just put you into the space of healing influences you. Any other relationship, any other connection to life in nature. Even if you do insist on being alone this week and don't want to interact and do want to cancel plans, of course, do what you want to do what feels best to you, but then get outside, at least be in the sun, be in the grass, at least spend some time outside. connect with other living things then and see how those things influence you. Address areas of potential stress in your life before they become a problem. Meditate in nature is another piece of advice here. Breathe deeply and allow yourself to relax and become one with Gaia. Be still, at peace, and free of the impurities and worries that cloud your senses and good judgment. If only for a moment, I will add, even if it's just for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just try to make it happen. Just see if you can make it happen. And I say it like that because I know how hard it can be for some of us. I'm a Cancer rising, so I think I relate a good bit. And I know how hard, and for everybody, people in general, I know how hard it can be for some of us when we're healing from a deep heartbreak like that. Especially when on an even deeper level, what we're admitting to ourselves and realizing is it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to last longer than it did. It has given us both what it was supposed to, right? And that's definitely the case for a lot of us here, that this message is for Cancers. And just as people are only meant to be in our life for a time before they exit, and we couldn't have foreseen that, it remains true also that we never know when they may be meant to re-enter in some capacity either. And not holding on to that, but keeping that in mind, how much we don't know in that regard can help. It can help us move forward sometimes. Doesn't mean you won't meet again, right? So with that, I think we will close out your love life reading, Cancers. Thank you so much for checking it out and for liking and subscribing. Those of you who haven't, I do really appreciate that. And what else did I want to mention to you before I let you go? Oh, thank you too for, of course, as always, comments, shares, donations, and orders. I am truly grateful for each and every one of our energy exchanges here. Thank you so much. And if you are interested in a private reading, all the information is down below. Just check out those links or the About section of my YouTube channel, the banner. You can also just email LunarticksTarot@gmail.com, and I can talk with you about your options that way. If your questions are about the free readings, and if they're about a less expensive option in the meantime, I'll go ahead and answer those for you now. I'm sorry I had to take a break on the free readings. That I hope to return to at the beginning of next year, or the first half of next year at least, in some way. I'm not exactly sure how I'm doing it yet. I would like to do lives, etc. We'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, yes, there is a less expensive option. It's not a pre-recorded video, it's just an email form, but it's often a lot quicker too. So again, you can check that out down below in the description. And otherwise, I love you very much, Cancers, and I will post another tarot fix for us just as soon as I can.